Steph Curry was the 7th pick in the draft, and this is what happened. I went back to read the comments from when Steph Curry was drafted. Key Gray 34 says, I don't think the Rockets are trying to move up in the draft to get Curry, but if they did, it would set the team back years. Curry already plays in the NBA under the name Adam Morrison, JJ Redick, Kirk Snyder. Do I need to go on? Guys like him who are carrying a team in college with his body frame just don't pan out anything more than a role player. You have to remember, at this time, there were some people who were high on Steph Curry, but even those people, I don't think they thought he was going to be, what he is today, one of the top 5 players, in my opinion, of all time. And like I said, there was a bunch of people who were not, high on Steph Curry. C-Try2582. By the way, it was really hard to find comments from 2009. He went to Davidson and still torched the NCAA. Teams double and triple teamed him up, and he still lit it up. He's proven he can get his own shot off. In the NBA with better spacing, better teammates, he'll continue to get his own shot up. Here's somebody who saw the future. Again, I don't know if this guy saw MVP and 4 rings, but this guy saw he could still light it up. So sorry I cut off your name, says Steph Curry will be the best player in this week draft. By the way, that 2009 draft was not weak. Steph Curry reminds me of Gilbert Arenas. He is a point guard that can score a ton. Key Gray replied, lit it up because he was asked to shoot 20+ shots a game or they had no chance. Only the pathetic teams in his conference overplayed him. Key Gray, wherever you are today, this guy, he was very wrong about Steph Curry. But again, hindsight is 2020. M. John says, best player in the draft? With Blake Griffin, James Harden out there? I don't think so. Personally, I'd rather take my chances with Ty Lawson than Curry. Also, don't agree with the nonsensical Morrison and Snyder comparisons. He's a JJ Redick, Luther Head, Eddie House, Boobie Gibson type. I think it's unlikely he ever becomes more than a niche player, but there is a real place for one-dimensional pure shooters in the league. It's a sad statement about this year's draft that he's a mid-lottery pick. Again, hindsight 2020, but it is absolutely insane to hear people say about Steph Curry, like, he's just going to be a role player. It's sad that he's a, lottery pick, that he's a niche player, one-dimensional. It's just crazy to think about with Steph Curry. Rice Daddy 7 says, Landry will have a better career than Curry will. Supervon says, people are just down on Curry because he went to Davidson, and they never got to see him play. He has the potential to be the best player in this draft. Okay, Supervon, you saw it coming. I'm not sold on Blake Griffin yet. So much hype. Medicine and Music said, currently 3 threads about this guy right now. He must be special, smiley face. Well, he is special, Medicine. Kaleidowski says, you lost all credibility comparing him to Kirk Snyder. Mayo Rocket says, I think he'll be very much like his dad, a pure shooter that didn't do much else. Nick Storm, so we know who he's a fan of, says, actually it's the other way around because Supervon was saying that people are down on him because they never saw him play, the comment we just read, and he says he's from Davidson, so nobody watched him most of the time except on ESPN, and he got overhyped because all you see is highlights. Flash21 replied to Key Gray when he was talking about him shooting 20 shots a game, and Flash21 says, Redick was a bust because he was way overhyped by the media. Curry is the better player out of the two. There's a difference between game and hype. Obviously, you cannot differentiate the two. APUN says, obviously, you either are young or ignorant or both. This guy was replying to Key Gray, who obviously we know is not high on Curry. He goes, Curry is probably the best pure shooter in this draft and many previous ones. His father is Del Curry, who played 15 years in the NBA, so he has been raised on the NBA game. He will likely be another Rip Hamilton or best case scenario, Reggie Miller. But to say he will be a bust is just plain no knowledge of the game. Accelerator says, LOL, Steph Curry is 6'3", pure shooter with unlimited range and will be somewhat like JJ Redick. Great at off the screen and spot up shots, will probably be used similar as Rip Hamilton. Key Gray is very active in this chat and replied, they list them at 6'3" on some sites and 6'1". On others, see he is probably really closer to 6'1". And he will never get his shot off as easy as Rip, and he will never defend like Rip. An Accelerator replied back and said, have you ever seen the guy play at Davidson? His release is quick as lightning. Rip could never defend anyway, so that's not saying anything. Curry will be a good role player in the NBA, not a starter. Accelerator, who is defending Steph Curry, says he's not going to be a starter in the NBA. Isn't it wild, people? And Medicine and Music replied and said, no, he is 6'2" without shoes, so that's 6'3" by NBA standards. That is his official measurement at the combine. It doesn't get any more official than that. Also, some teams may use him as point guard, so small opponents will guard him. I agree with you that he's not similar to Rip, but it just depends on which team he goes to. Then we go to Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless was on the record saying that he wanted Steph Curry in the draft over Blake Griffin, and we have receipts of that, so it is facts. Skip Bayless says, like Blake Griffin, don't love him. Love Steph Curry. Will have immediate impact. We're debating this today in Second Down. And this is probably one of the most famous analysts, commentary that we have seen pretty much everywhere, since Steph Curry has become Steph Curry as we know he is today. Is Doug Gottlieb saying Steph Curry declared for the draft, and he goes, he doesn't have the upside of Rubio, Jennings, Flynn, Mills, Teague, all more athletic.
That Steph Curry is the best shooter available in this draft.
So as you heard, he said that Steph Curry is the best shooter available in this draft, which was obviously correct. He also went on to say, basically, we just have to see, can he transition to the NBA and handle the point guard position? So he wasn't super negative. He just, again, didn't expect Steph Curry to be the MVP we know he is today. He was on the money. Best shooter in the draft by far, because he's the best shooter in NBA history.
The reaction says it all. Nothing against Golden State, but these Knicks fans wanted Stephen Curry.
And obviously, every Knicks fan probably didn't feel that way about Steph Curry. But when Steph Curry got drafted by the Warriors, there were a lot of upset New York Knicks fans. They wanted him. Yeah, whether or not they thought he was going to be what he is today, at least they really did want him on their team. They thought he was going to be somewhat good, to say the least. So shout out to Steph Curry. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye!